Good evening, friends. This is time for the trade wrap for today, 14th of December 2020. And the market pretty much did what we expected. Now, what we expected was that we open and we consolidate at the 5-minute 200, and it exactly played out in this manner. Now, why is this important? And I think somebody asked me on Facebook that how do you know, or when do you know if Bank Nifty has turned sideways? So let me spend 2 minutes on that and try to explain it on a whiteboard. Well, pivot theory says that if there is a trend, then prices will come to the CPR and will reverse from there. If prices start to go through the CPR, they become sideways. Okay. And once the price starts to stop at the pivot and reverse, that is often seen as a resumption of trend from sideways. So Bank Nifty for the last 3 days was sideways, and today both Nifty and Bank Nifty have held the pivot zone. So at some point, maybe as early as tomorrow, we could have a fresh expansion coming on Nifty and Bank Nifty. So today's action was critical, that we did not revisit the lows and we turned from the pivot itself. So the sellers were not able to push the market lower. If you want nuggets like this, we send you live charts on YouTube. So join it with a silver, gold, diamond button, because it's not just the calls, it's why we did something or we didn't do something, or what are the fresh themes, fresh ideas. So YouTube is your place to go. Silver, gold, diamond, very affordable. If you want more on how to read pivots, etc., we have our recorded webinar, 2000 plus GST. Please WhatsApp 98710 66337 and email at ashwani_gujral@yahoo.com. That is ASHWANI_GUJRAL@yahoo.com. Now let's get back to the analysis. So for tomorrow, the expectation should be that the market opens and tries to trade above the highs of the day and starts to expand on the upside. Now, in terms of the daily chart, We have these three, very sideways doji style candles, and in a very strong bullish market, you would expect that this is consolidation which will lead to more upside. And a fresh theme of divestment has been doing the rounds because BPCL apparently is going to see a strategic sale. So all sorts of PSU stocks are likely to do well from here. This was announced today on our YouTube community channel, part of the silver, gold, diamond group. And now we go to Bank Nifty. Bank Nifty was very interesting. Again, daily chart, narrow ranges, but pushing on the upside. So my sense again here is that Bank Nifty could not even get to the 200 of its 5 minute. So it made a very narrow range. Now narrow ranges mean that tomorrow, day after, we could have a big move on either side. But you have to have a bias because the market remains in a strong uptrend, global markets remain strong. I would think we would break on the upside. Okay, now interestingly, you people would have observed that the premiums are very, very low. On the Nifty, you have hardly a 15-point premium. The Bank Nifty, you have hardly 45 points premium. So the market in terms of premium does not seem to be overbought. It seems to be fairly well hedged. That you should take on board when you are looking to trade. Today we gave a couple of individual stock calls, and let's revisit them. TCS was given as a short call at the open. We got this big bar, and uh, we went short around 28.03 and covered about 15-16 rupees lower. You can see what kind of rally it had later on in the afternoon. So intraday trading is about 15-17 points. Uh, it was very clear that TCS had opened at previous session highs. So it was a very clear short trade that had opened up. HDFC, again, HDFC gave you a nice trade because of this gap up. Again, you can see on the left, yesterday's high was there and also gave you a nice plunge on the downside. So these sort of intraday trades where yesterday's high or low is getting respected are often given on our YouTube channel. So again, if you want to trade stocks, that's the channel for you. So we were on Bank Nifty. My sense is that the markets are consolidating, and consolidating markets often break on the upside. We have carried our Bank Nifty calls, and let's see what happens tomorrow. The market remains bullish. FII figures are about 2220 crores. A bit off, but Friday was a large number. Today was a relatively smaller number, and I think that way you should continue to see inflows from FIIs. Now tomorrow, I would think that if you have a gap up above uh, today's highs, both on Nifty and Bank Nifty, maybe chasing is a good idea. So if the gap holds for the first half an hour odd, you can get on board if you are still not in. In terms of individual stocks, let's see what sort of ideas we can come up with and how we do our research. ITC, ITC yesterday's low was 214. We have closed very close to the 214 area here. So the approach should be, if tomorrow morning ITC gaps up, it could lead to a decent trade towards 220. Then we have Bharti Airtel. Bharti Airtel is very ranging and it's hugging the 200. So if we can come out of this range early morning, gap up for some reason, we could get an expansion on the upside. Similarly, even on the downside, something interesting here is that Bharti on the daily chart is exactly hugging its 200-day moving average. 200-day moving average is often a stiff resistance. So I wouldn't be surprised if the breakdown on Bharti is on the downside. Okay. Then you have Karnataka, Kotak Mahindra Bank. Kotak Mahindra Bank, very interesting play today. And for our students, it shouldn't be any surprise. Kotak Mahindra came down, hit the 200 period average on 5 minutes and bounced back and continued to rally through the day. Now, Kotak Mahindra, we all know, is in a very strong uptrend. If a stock in a strong uptrend visits its 200, this is the intraday pivot or the daily pivot, and reverses from here, then chances are that the trend has been respected. So these are things you look for, when you are scanning through stocks and charts, etc. Let's look at what went on in Hindustan Unilever. Hind Unilever corrected during the day and closed very near again yesterday's low. I think it was today's low, not yesterday's low. So what we are looking for is that from this 200 zone, if we can see some sort of a reversal, because Hindustan Lever is also in a very strong uptrend, and that could create a buy on Hind Unilever. Okay. Again, extremely strong chart is ICICI Bank, and it consolidated, gapped up, and then started to move higher. So again, if we get some sort of consolidation and fresh gap up, you want to look at ICICI Bank above yesterday's high. HDFC, again, this is quite sideways. So if you come back towards this 200 and then move up, that could be a play which could happen on HDFC. ECS, very similar to HDFC. If we can come to about this 200 zone and find support in this area, we are likely to reverse. Now, some of you may think that why I discuss the same stocks every day, because that is my universe. Okay? And it's important to have a limited universe if you want to know your stocks. Our job is not to be masters of 500 stocks or 5,000 stocks, but to be master of 10 stocks. So you consolidate here, and Infosys, you could get some kind of expansion. Okay? HDFC Bank is probably running into some kind of trouble. Maybe from a longer term view, you can buy HDFC Bank. In the short run, I think there is nothing significant going on here. HDFC Bank will avoid. Reliance again is very sideways and very range bound. Now, I don't think there is a play on Reliance. See, the idea in individual stocks is if you are gapping up on the market, look for gap up in individual stocks, the ones that start to fail. If there is gap down, look for these stocks to move up in case the gap down starts to fail. So that way, your plays should be ready beforehand, and once you get your gap up, the preferred play is to try to find stocks which have gapped up and are not sustaining. And similarly, for gap down. I think that should be it for this wrap. Take care, trade well, and please consult your financial advisor.